Hi, boys and girls. Good morning. Today you're going to start working with the percent proportion. I hope you enjoyed your weekend off and you're ready for the last week of remote learning. So, you'll see in your notes that the percent proportion looks something like this. It's the part over the whole, and that's going to be equal to a percent over 100. So you're going to use cross products and inverse operations to be solving these proportions today. So it's kind of what we've been going over these last couple of months. So you're going to plug this proportion in with what information you have and solve for your missing piece. So for example, the first one, 16 is what percent of 64? So I'm going to ask myself, what do they want me to find? Well, it says what percent. So they want me to find the percent. So I know that that's going to be my missing piece. And now I just got to plug in my part and my whole. Well, it's saying 16 is a percent of 64, meaning that 16 is my part and my whole is 64. Now I can go ahead and I can use cross products to solve for x. So 16 times 100. And you can use a calculator here if you choose to. And then 64 times x, or 64x. Now this is where my inverse operations come into play. So 16 times 100, right, 1600, and 64 times x. So I need to do the inverse of multiplying by 64 to get x on its own. So I'm going to divide by 64. And when I type 1600 divided by 64 into my calculator, I get x is equal to 25. Sorry. All right. So 16 is 25% of 64. All right, and that makes sense because 16 is a small part of 64, right? It's not near the whole thing. If it was the whole thing, it'd be 100%, so that makes sense. All right, moving on to this one. What number is 80% of 125? So I know that this number is just 80% of this other number, meaning that I'm looking for the part here. And you'll notice that the whole each time is going to come after the word of. So I know that 125 here is my whole because it comes after the word of. So let's plug some things in. I know the 80 is the percent, so 80 goes over 100. And we said that my whole is 125, and the part is what I am trying to solve for, so that's going to be my x. So now I'm going to go ahead and use those cross products. X times 100, or 100x, and 80 times 125. And again, you can use a calculator if you would like to go ahead and multiply these, make your life a little easier. So I'm going to get 10,000 on this side, and I still have 100x on this side. Now, inverse operations. I'm going to divide by 100 to get the x on its own to solve for my missing piece, which means I also need to divide this side by 100, which is really just taking off those two zeros, leaving me with x is equal to 100. So that means that the number 100 is 80% of 125. And let's think about that. That makes sense because if I score an 80% on a test, that's pretty high. I got most of the problems right. Well, 100 is very close to 125. So it's 80% of 125. And last but not least, let's go ahead and solve this final one. It says 12 is 40% of what number? So what number, and it's after the word of, so I'm looking for the whole here. It's saying 12 is just a small percent of this number. So that means 12 is the part, and I'm trying to figure out what is the whole. So I can go ahead and plug it in. Again, 40%, my percent goes over 100. All right. And then 12 is the part, and I'm trying to figure out what is the whole. Remember, it comes after that word of. That's the whole. So that's my mystery here. And cross products again. Here we go. So 12 times 100. Sorry, I'm running out of space here. Is going to be equal to 40x, or 40 times x. So 12 times 100 is going to give me 1200. And I still have 40x on this side. Now I got my inverse operations. I'm going to divide, sorry, this is a 0, not a 6. I'm going to divide by 40 to get x on its own. Divide 1200 by 40. And I can cancel my zeros. I can type this in the calculator too if I would like to. And you are going to get x is equal to 30. So that means the whole here is going to be 30. And that makes sense because let's think. What is half of 30 or 50% of 30? Well, that's 15, right? So if I'm taking 40%, that's just a little bit less than 50%. So a little less than 15 is 12. So it makes sense that 12 is 40% of 30. All right, I think you're going to do just fine today. I hope these examples helped. All right, good luck, and email me if you have any questions.